Meet ISTQB Prep. Designed for future ISTQB certified testers, ISTQB Prep gives you everything you need to prepare effectively, from realistic exam simulations to AI-driven insights. Practice like it's the real exam. Get timed ISTQB-aligned tests featuring official sample questions so you know exactly what to expect. No more second-guessing. Receive instant feedback with clear explanations, helping you understand why an answer is right or wrong. Stay on track with detailed performance analytics. Pinpoint your strengths, identify areas to improve, and watch your confidence grow. Get access today through GASQ or ISQI, whether as a standalone prep tool or bundled with your ISTQB exam. Study smarter, boost your confidence, pass your exam. Start preparing with ISTQB Prep today.
Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all our audience. We have together with us Nishan Porter, well, a familiar face now. He was among the first to start this ISTQB track and also will be our last speaker for ending this track. So today is an important day for ISTQB. We have launched two syllabuses. We have launched one for QDO, the Quality in DevOps, and the second one, which is about finance testing. So it's CTFT, Certified Tester Finance Testing. So Nishan, you are the product owner as well of this new certification and also the head of academia. I think you are the best person then to explain to us what is finance testing all about. So the stage is all yours, my friend.
Thank you very much. So let me share my screen. Okay, so finance testing and the syllabi that is related to it. Well, first of all, before I talk about finance testing, let me share a short background why this syllabi is being actually created and why I am the product owner of this syllabi. Well, most of my career I was working in the financial domain. Now, one thing you need to understand is finance is not only banking. A lot of people think, oh, finance testing, so it needs to be banking related. No, the finance syllabi, just to make it clear from the beginning, it relates to the banking industry, the financial industry, and the insurance. So any company that is working with money is actually related to this syllabi. With that, I'm very, very happy to dive into the syllabi with you and show you the value on why actually this syllabi matters, why it's useful for you, and why you should consider taking the training and taking the certification. Well, let's dive in and start with the testing money software. I like to use money as an abbreviation instead of finance, because otherwise you would only hear finance, finance, finance in this whole presentation. So let's talk about testing money software. Is it like any other application that we're testing? Is the domain the same like the others? Actually, no. Even though you think that it's the same, it's not. Well, what is actually the difference in the financial domain in compared to others? Most of the time, you get requirements with hard rules. So maybe you get 80 to 200 pages of laws that you need now to turn into a test case. Maybe you have some standards that you need to follow, and you need to understand how those work to make sure that they are implemented and they are testable in your application. What about the Oracle databases? A lot of finance applications use Oracle as a database, but do you understand what is in there? Do you know the right numbers that are in there? Without the experience, you will not be able to do anything. What about the bugs? We have bugs, but most of the times, the bugs don't appear in testing. They appear months later when the application is already released and you get the errors in production. And what about the strict checks? Someone will check your work later. If you are working in a financial domain, the audits are something that you cannot prevent. Did you actually keep the proof of your applications, of your test cases? And in which country are you actually working? If you're working in Europe, are you following the standards for Europe? I'm based in Switzerland. Am I following the financial standards for Switzerland? Are my test cases covering them? And do I have enough evidence to prove that I actually tested what I needed to test? Well, no. Testing financial applications is not the same like not testing other domains. What about the costs? When you usually test an application, you have the cost of developing, implementation, and release. And if something goes wrong, fine, we can fix that and done. In the financial industry, you have some big challenges because if you don't follow specific standards or specific rules that have been defined for your area, then you will have big fines. You will have big issues because you are not protecting the user's data that you have. What about the legal troubles? Do you have actually all the rules that are being followed? Or did you miss some rules that have been just implemented 1 or 2 months ago? And what about the customers? When you have customers that are losing trust because the application is not doing what it needs to do, or the application is not useful for the customer because they don't know how to use it, it's not clear, the user experience is not given, then you will use the reputation because customers will see the issues and they will try to figure out which application, which other company, which other bank, which other insurance is easier to use and more customer friendly. And what about all the things that stop the application? And not only the application, but also the companies. Because if nobody is using the application, you're losing customers. If you're losing customers, you're losing revenues. If you're losing revenues, what makes sense to continue with the testing, with the company? So you see that there are some aspects that you need to follow when you are working in the domain of the finance industry. And what next? Until now, you only worked on figuring it out by yourself. You read the books, you talked with business, you tried to understand the system, you didn't have really structured element on what to focus on, what you need to consider. So with other words, you were trying to figure it out by yourself, asking the right questions, asking the right people on how to do something. You didn't have a proper learning path that you could do to prepare. If I would have this syllabi at my start, it would help me a lot, because then I would understand the domain and what is relevant. And I would not need to do some rounds and some issues that I had before really understanding how everything works. So instead of figuring out how something works, now you have a proper path, topics that are considered in all the financial industry and can be a big benefit for you to understand on what specific parts do you need to focus, what is really relevant, and which part you don't want to consider because it doesn't have the biggest risk. Well, there are actually three big things that is happening in the financial industry that we face every single day if you are working in the domains. What is happening? First of all, you have the old database that has been built, the whole application that has been entered so deeply into your banking industry, in your financial industry, and you're trying to figure out how does it work. Now you're trying to figure out how does it work, and then you have the new part that is being included, and now you need to consider old system, new system, how does this work together? What is it that I need to make sure that works? How do I handle this? How do I get the knowledge if the people are not anymore in my company? Where do I get the knowledge from? The next thing is all those regulations. We see in the industry that more and more regulations are coming, more and more standards are coming, and more companies are forced to actually focus on those rules. They need to make sure that the rules are being followed, that they have enough evidence on all parts, and they need to move fast. And one thing that everybody is talking, what about AI? Well, we have AI that is changing everything. It's changing the testing, how it was before, but do we really need to change something with AI? The biggest challenge that we have with AI is it's growing fast, it's improving and it's helping, but banks need safety. Insurance needs reliability. You need to have the stability that you need to cover. How do you do that? So learn how to do it by looking into this syllabi. Let's see what it's about the syllabi. So there is one prerequisite to actually take the exam, and that's the foundation level. Why? Because you need to have the basic language that every tester is talking. When you have the basic language and you understand the basics, now you can take the domain-specific parts and understand what is it that I need to consider and focus on in the finance domain. You see also the training is not taking so long. So it's a 2-day training that you can take where you learn the basics. And the launch date? Well, it's today. So congratulations. You're one of the first ones that is able to get the syllabi and start using it and bringing an advantage in your team. The whole syllabi is built on 6 chapters. And each chapter is focused on a specific area that is relevant for people who are working in the finance domain. Let's see what those topics are. Let's go into the first one. You need to understand how the banks, how the insurance, how the financial domain is actually working. How did you do it before? Well, you got the knowledge from the business, from the people that are working in this company. With that, you were sort of scared. How is it if I get into this domain, if I get into this company, how will it be? Do I actually know the domain relevant parts, or how can I get them fast? With the syllabi in the chapter 1, you will learn the domain. You will learn the financial domain and understand what is it that differs from the normal domains. Why is it actually so relevant for you to understand? And what is it that changed? You feel now when you're entering the companies that you're part of it. You know what is relevant. You know right away what kind of topics you want to talk with the people. And you have the whole team approach. You're not an outsider trying to figure out how to get in. You're now part of it from the beginning. That's all in chapter 1. Now, when you did that, then comes the specific part on the proof that you need to bring on your test cases. So chapter 2 will be all about standards and how those are relevant. What kind of proof do you need to have before somebody comes and asks for it? So with other words, if somebody comes and had a big idea, hey, let's see your proof on the test cases that you did a half a year ago. You know this one standard that we had? Can you show me how you tested it? Can you show me what was the relevant part of it? Now you can say, of course, look, it's this test case. I tested it this way. I noticed because I know that those standards mattered, so I already included it in, I proved it, and here is the evidence. And for the next couple of years, you will have the proof that everything is fine, everything is good, and you can work with it however it is. Good. So let's continue now with the next chapter. What is it that is relevant there? Now you know the domain, you know the standards that you need to focus on. What's next? Well, what is it that you have issues on in testing? What really matters most in testing? Are you able to define why you're choosing something? So if you have an error in a payroll, is it something that everyone is seeing? Is the same error happening during the transfer phase? Or is it something that is only visual? So learn the way how to spot the high cost issues that will prevent customers to build trust on your application. You can decide what is relevant. If you have a clear path on what is the most important part to focus, based on specific techniques, then you're able to bring the reliability, the stability, and the trust in your tests. So that's all in chapter 3. Then we go in and see, what about the data? Are we actually able to simulate what did the customers look like. Most of the issues happens because we either were not able to produce productive close data, or we have issues to create something that looks like real data. What do? Most of the time, we just copy production and make sure that we can work with that. But as we learned in chapter 2, we need to consider some standards, some rules, some regulations, and those can limit us to actually use productive data. So now you need to figure out, how can I actually create fake, real-looking data that will find the issues before it happens in production in a couple of months? So what is it that you need to consider in the test data? How do I need to take it? And make sure that you're following the standards and rules of your particular domain. If you don't do that, well, there are a lot of big fines coming ahead to you. And I know in Switzerland, if you don't follow the data protection rules, if you don't follow the banking secret rules, the standards that have been defined, then you have big issues. And this hurts the companies. So you need to figure out how to handle those. Once you did that, well, now we know everything. We need to go up to speed. So we need to speed up the test cases. We need to make sure that everything is working fine. We need to make sure that we are able to build something that is reliable and we can run it quickly and see how the output is looking before we start working on other test cases. So if we need to consider on speed, safety, and uptime, then we are doing the right job, because we are showing how to handle those three things and making sure that everybody else is considered on the output that you're producing before something goes wrong. So the biggest part on this whole syllabi is based in this part of the syllabi. So this chapter is showing how to push the system to 2 times the normal load to make sure that AI is doing the right thing, that you're able to question what is actually happening, and to make sure that the quality is going to the right way. Now we did that. Lastly, what about automation? You need to make sure that the real world of test automation fits the banking necessary systems, fits the insurance necessary systems. Is it able to actually automate? Are there any security rules that you need to follow? Most of the applications are online. You need to make sure that you have the access, you have the right rulings. But a lot of people forget that over the whole online platform, there is the core. And the core is not online. The core is the old legacy build that you need also to consider. The automation chapter will focus on how to handle both and how to make sure that you're able to build the test cases on the right way. So you will learn 6 skills in this 6 chapters. Each one is useful for your daily work. So now you know everything from the beginning you know what is relevant before you go into your job, before you go into the domain. And you can say, okay, I know now the theoretical part. I know what to consider on. And then you can see perhaps there are some things that are different in the banks, in the insurance, in the financial domain itself. But most of the parts that you had in the syllabi are actually what you're facing right now. Now, let's see why actually the certification matters. What is it that you get out of it? So for you, you get a certification that helps your career. Why? Because you will be one that has not only the foundation level, but also a domain-specific certification. So people, employees, already know that you know the standards, you know the theoretical part, and you know on what to focus on. Your team will less start guessing. So they will learn from you on what to focus on, what to consider first, before starting to guess how it's working. And most of the time, you will actually not guess anymore because you know. What about your company? Your company is lowering the risk. They're finally reducing the outages, the customer issues, the angriness that the customers are facing by producing tests, by producing applications that are focused on the usage, the usefulness for the customer. And by that, you're seeing that the trust in the application is being built, and it's bringing more and more value because you're actually saving the company time and money by addressing specific topics that are always the same, but most of the time, if you don't have the knowledge, you will struggle at the same points. So with that, now you know what it's all about. One thing that I need to tell you is this syllabi has been built by finance experts. So people who are working in the financial domains since years, and they brought their knowledge, their challenges, their issues that they had into this syllabi so that you will not make the same mistakes. You can be ahead of your colleagues, and you can start showing a standard, a way on how to actually handle testing in a highly sensitive area where if something breaks, this can cost a lot of money instead of producing money. So with that, let's conclude on what's next. So first of all, you heard the launch happened today. So my guess is if you go now on ISTQB.org and you look for the finance testing syllabi, you will have the possibility to download the syllabi and to go through it. And one thing that I recommend is you can do it by yourself. You can do it by self-studying. What I recommend is doing it in a class, doing it in a course. Why? It's still the same topic that you're learning, that you're doing in a self-study, but you're missing all the fun part. You're missing all the stories that the trainer can tell you on all the mistakes they did on specific areas. You will learn examples and real life stories on what actually happened and went wrong and how this could have been prevented by the specific topic that you're learning right now. It's always a win-win because the trainer they enjoy it, they love to give their experience so that others don't fall in those pitfalls. And you are ready to pass the exam, get the certification, and go to your company and say, now I know the standards. I saw those issues. I see it now. Let's focus it one by one so that we can increase the quality by the standards that I learned, by the techniques that I learned. So with that, I wish you all the best. Go and look at the syllabi, read it through, and take the training, take the exam, pass it, and always happy to get feedback on how this syllabi from the ISTQB actually improved your daily business by learning how the theoretical part can be used in your practical life.
Okay, so Nishan, that was a very deep dive in the syllabus chapter-wise, and we see from each chapter their expertise from the authors in the finance sector. Thank you for breaking down this syllabus and demystifying this new syllabus from ISTQB for our audience. And to our audience, again, a reminder, the syllabus, the sample paper, and the exam are freely available on istqb.org. You can just go to the website, you select finance in the portfolio, click on learn more, and then you will have access to the downloadable material, the syllabus, the sample paper, and the answer. So you can prepare yourself for the exam. Okay, let's go through a few questions now from our audience. Do we have any? Yes. Okay, fine. The first one. How is CTFT, Certified Tester Finance Testing, different from the other certifications like AI testing or security testing?
That's interesting. So there is one person who actually already downloaded the syllabi and noticed that there are parts on security testing in the syllabi. And yes, there is actually a difference between the CTFT and all the other syllabi, because the CTFT syllabi is about the domain, about finance. It's not about the techniques. So if you want to have the broad knowledge, just to understand it, just to know about it, then the CTFT is a good start for you. And then if you realize, okay, we now need to use AI in our business, then you go to the Gen AI syllabi and you learn the techniques deeply on how to implement it. If you see that the security testing is part that you need to focus on, then you go to the security testing syllabi, and there you learn now how to build the penetration testing, how to focus on it. So the techniques you learn in the other syllabi. In this syllabi, we only show what is relevant, what do you need to consider, and a slight cut of how to use it. But the deep dives happen in those other technical syllabi.
Right. So there are some specific knowledge that would be very much different from the AI testing and security testing.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting to know about this new product. So a second question from our audience. Okay, so I don't work in the bank. Is this syllabus still useful for me?
Well, I could say no. But the question should be, are you working with a money-making application? If you are working in a domain that is connected to standards, to regulations, then it would definitely make sense. Don't focus on banking. Banking is one of the biggest parts in the finance industry. However, there are the insurance, and there are many, many other areas. So if you have any touch point, then yes, go ahead. If not, maybe you want to go in those domains and you need to be prepared on what is actually coming to you, or you're thinking of going into these domains. So you will see what is actually waiting for you.
Okay. So in either case, this this certification is for the whole for the general public, I would say. Okay, and a reminder again that the foundation remains a prerequisite as well for finance testing syllabus. So yeah, make the most of this new certification of ISTQB. I'll take a last question. I have the CTFL, the Certified Tester Foundation level, and years of experience in banking. Will I learn anything new?
Honestly, yes. And you know why? Because most testers in finance, they learn on the job. They try to figure out how it works. And you know, now your knowledge on your area that you work now since years. So if you work in the banking industry, perhaps you're working in the specific bank since years, since 10 years, 20 years. So your focus is only on what you see and what you learned by yourself in this company. This syllabi will open actually your mind on what could be also relevant for you. Is something that you were thinking of could be interesting a couple of years ago coming up again because you read it through the syllabi and say, oh yes, right, penetration testing. This could be something that I need to focus on. I never thought about it, but what is it that I need to consider on? Standards. What is it that I need to make sure to get the proof that everything is working fine? So you will get the hints on things that you probably worked on, but you will also get hints on things that you never heard of, but you need to consider. So you have some discussion points with your team on, shall we consider on performance testing? Shall we consider testing this and this standards as well? So you will have a baseline there to talk and to continue improving the software testing in your company.
All right. Thank you, Nishan. Thank you for answering all these questions from our audience. And to our audience, a reminder again that we are now present on different social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and even TikTok. Please do follow us over there for updates from ISTQB. And this was the end. This is the last stream. The last stream for ISTQB, the last session in the ISTQB stream for the A4Q Testing Summit. So Nishan, thank you for being with us. You were among the first to start it, and we are ending with you. So that's a complete of a cycle.
It was a pleasure.
The pleasure is shared. The pleasure is ours as well. And to our audience, thank you for being with us, for following us, and for as well attending the different session in our stream. Hopefully the sessions were valuable to you, and we look forward to see you on our social media or the website, istqb.org. Thank you.
Thank you.
Meet ISTQB Prep. Designed for future ISTQB certified testers, ISTQB Prep gives you everything you need to prepare effectively, from realistic exam simulations to AI-driven insights. Practice like it's the real exam. Get timed ISTQB-aligned tests featuring official sample questions so you know exactly what to expect. No more second guessing. Receive instant feedback with clear explanations, helping you understand why an answer is right or wrong. Stay on track with detailed performance analytics. Pinpoint your strengths, identify areas to improve, and watch your confidence grow. Get access today through GASQ or ISQI, whether as a standalone prep tool or bundled with your ISTQB exam. Study smarter, boost your confidence, pass your exam. Start preparing with ISTQB Prep today.